Better. Let me go over here, recycle. Recycle. So. There we go. Morning, guys. Oh, man. Forgive me, I'm switching my laptop back to the proper Wi-Fi network here. There we go. Ooh, always kill the volume. I always forget that. I keep forgetting that. Gotta kill the volume, or there'll be feedback. Anyway, let's see if I can get through this. No way I'm gonna go through. Well, maybe. Actually, I need to hear the volume once. No way. Oop. Okay, we're good. She stood on the tracks, waving her arms, leading me to that third rail shock. Quick as a wink, she changed her mind. She gave me a night. Got to scroll. That's all it was. What will it take until I don't know one part. Take until I stop kicking myself, wasting my time. Whoa, whoa. There's nothing else I can do, 'cause I'm doing it all for Lena. I don't want anyone new, 'cause I'm doing it all for Lena. There's nothing in it for you, 'cause I'm doing it all for Lena. We laid on the beach, watching the tide. She didn't tell me there were rocks under the waves, right off the shore. Washed up on the sand, barely alive. Oops. Wishing the undertow would stop. Helping a man take anymore. There's nothing else I can do, 'cause I'm doing it all for Lena. I don't want anyone new, 'cause I'm doing it all for Lena. There's nothing in it for you, 'cause I'm doing it all for Lena. It's a Billy Joel song. Oh, I'm failing in school, losing my friends, making my family lose their minds. I don't want to eat, I don't want to sleep, I only want Lena one more time. Now I'm in my room, watching the tube, telling myself she still may stop over to say she's changed her mind. So I wait in the dark, listening for her, instead of my old man saying stop kicking yourself, kidding yourself actually, wasting your time. Whoa, whoops, that's the wrong card. Whoa, that's a hard card to play. Whoa, there's nothing else I can do, 'cause I'm doing it all for Lena. I don't want anyone new, 'cause I'm doing it all for Lena. There's nothing in it for you, 'cause I'm doing it all for Lena. And there's the big instrumental. Good morning, gang. It's me with my shirt really creepily unbuttoned. Enjoy the red. Hey, as usual, we start the coffee videos with a song that was in my head. And what song was in my head other than Billy Joel's? My favorite song off Glass Houses, not the big hit. Glass Houses, of course, had Moving Out, right? No, that wasn't on that album. Maybe it was, I don't know. That was his one where he's got the rock and he's throwing it at his... And in case you don't know, this little Billy Joel history, not that I'm Mr. Billy Joel historian, that house big pane of glass. That was his house at the time. So that was an easy photo shoot. You had to go out front. Somebody brought their camera. No, they didn't. That was back in the 70s. They brought an actual camera. Well, they brought a camera. Oh, I just said camera. I meant to say phone. Damn it, that joke didn't even work. I've only had 2 sips. Good morning, guys. Good morning. Good. How do you celebrate it? Is it the morning? Are you doing well? Are you well? Let me look right in at your house. Are you good? Let me see. Good. Nothing. No strange incantations sprayed around your wall with various human fluids. No portal to hell is open beneath you. And if there is one, you're okay. Yeah, I'm alive. Yeah, I am alive. Yeah, that's Billy Joel, man. That's a good tune. We've done that before on B&G, B&S. Sorry, B&G. Trying to be cool and I screwed it up. Beer and Songs, B&S. I might do it again this week. I might do it again tomorrow night. I just got to work on that one part. Let me hang on. That's not hard. To your ear, it's like, this is da-na-na-na, but to my fingers. From my fingers to your ears. I'm alive, exactly. I'm back from week 1 of the Washington Midsummer Renaissance Fair. As you guys know, the whole country was hot last week. Not just, I was about to say, boy, it was so hot in Washington, but I know that you fobs in Chicago weren't doing much better. You fobs down there in Florida were probably, you fobs in Northern California, you fobs in Ohio. You New England fobs, you Australian. Well, the Australian fobs are probably enjoying a lovely, brisk autumn day because the seasons are, of course, flipped there. Actually, it's winter there. What am I saying? It was hot, okay? It was brutal, says Demeter. Yeah, brutal in Washington, brutal in Bristol. Now, we're not going to get into a discussion as to where it was more brutal. We don't need that. That's, I think, a negative trait that people have. Like, well, my situation is worse. It was moist, says Sarah. Yeah, moist. And there's a difference we can talk about, obviously, that Washington, dry, at least part of Washington that the fair is in. Excuse me, slippers. South of Tacoma, as I think I said to you guys last week, the Washington area, the Seattle-Tacoma area, very much like the Bay Area in California, and for the same reason, really, a big giant body of water, a big bay, a big thing that kind of regulates stuff. It was a vacation for me in those mid-50 nights. Yeah, it might have been cool at night, Jim, but I didn't experience that. But I'm glad that you were able to be comfortable, Jim. Yeah, Jim was there. He can talk. He can amen some of this stuff for me, or say no, I disagree, and he'll bang his gavel on the table and says, I demand attention, and one of you will go, I second, and then Jim will say, what Mr. Howard, my distinguished gentleman colleague from California said is incorrect. And I don't know why he would instantly put on some sort of pompous British voice. Is incorrect. He would suddenly become the judge, from Pink Floyd's The Wall. The evidence before the court is incontrovertible. There's no need for I forgot how to play that. Anyway, Washington heat. Maybe it's humid up near the cities, near the waterfront, over the hill and far away down the valley and to your grandma's house. It's pretty dry. So where the Ren Fair is at a town called Bonnie Lake, and there is a lake there, but it's not where the fair is. It's a weird little mountain lake. Those kind of lakes that look like a bear dug its claws in and ripped it across the earth. That's how mountain lakes tend to look, because they're just waters filling in the gaps between various little rocky, peaky things. As opposed to a perfectly nice round lake like you'd get in Florida, where there's no hills at all and all the lakes are round. Wisconsin too. Illinois, your lakes are round because there's no mountains. Okay, anyway. Did you know, and I didn't know this until I was like in my mid-20s and I'm from there, that there's like only there's one natural lake in Maryland. naturally occurring. I don't even know what lake it is. Maybe two. One. Not a big state, but still. One. Plenty of lakes, of course. Plenty of reservoirs, plenty of dams, plenty of little things that man has done to alter his environment to his liking. Of course, the Chesapeake Bay. We have plenty of water. We're a nautical state. We're known for seafood. But then when somebody says, there's only one natural lake in this damn state, and I don't even know what it's called. Probably up in the mountains. We have a mountainous west, if you don't know. Maryland. Coastal plain on the east. Mountainous west. Farm country in the middle. It's been called America in the miniature. Not by a lot of people. Governor Schaefer of Maryland, he used to be the mayor of Baltimore when I was a kid. Then he became governor, and that became something that they were pushing for tourism. America in the miniature. Because we're kind of like we're the topography of America. But then again, all of the mid-Atlantic is, all of the Atlantic coast is coastal plain, mountains in the west. That's kind of what America is, coastal plain in the east. Out here in California, Washington, mountains all the way to the sea. Where's the desert, Maryland? See, exactly. There might be. There's deserts that aren't necessarily hot deserts like the Sahara or Death Valley near where I live. People live in Death Valley. Oh, we're digressing today, man. I don't know why. Look it up. The famous, regularly the hottest place in the contiguous United States. Contiguous. All right, we'll get back to the heat in a second. So, brutal heat. Okay, there are a few differences, and I said I don't want to compete against Bristol versus Washington and who had it more difficult last week. But Bristol had the advantage of shade. You just have more shade there. 60% of that fair is in a nice little wooded area. 0 of the Washington show is in a wooded area. Zip. The only shade was in like the pub areas and over the certain audience areas. But Washington folks are a hardy bunch. They come out. Amen. He's amening to that. Yes, exactly. No shade at all. We as the performers were on all hot stages. And my stage was in the same neighborhood as it's been the past couple years, except they turned it a bit. And at first I thought, this will be good for me. I won't be facing into the sun at the end of the day, because I was facing due west, or whatever that would be, wherever the sun is in that part of the world. I guess this time of year, of course, it's always a little southwest. We know that. We're not right on the equator. And now it's turned even more. So now instead of it being right in my eyes while I'm juggling, it's over here while I'm doing my thing, which I thought, that'll be good. But then, now, the audiences there are small, and they kind of wrap around the stage a little. Everybody on my left has the sun in their eyes, and they didn't last year. They had the sun at their back, and they could maybe feel it on the back of their head. And the way the shade was put up, it threw the shadows toward me. So as the day went on, the audience got more shade moving forward. So that's a note I'm going to give. I'm going to say, hey, that stage needs to be back kind of how it was the year before. I don't know why they moved it. I don't know. You never know. I mean, and they're nice people that produce that event. And even if they hear this, I think they'll hopefully take it. Hey, Brian says, please put the Village Square stage arranged the way it was the year before so that the audience gets more shade as the day goes on. Science! The site was used, at least this is the story I heard. Jim, maybe you've heard something different. What I heard was that the site, the people that own the site, they rent it out all year round. They put bike rallies, probably not car shows because it's dirt, but things like that. Maybe Boy Scout jamborees, barbecue festivals, whatever. The Renaissance Fair is not the only event that uses this chunk of land during the year. And I guess, here's what I heard, it was used by a tough mudder, one of those races you run and you get all muddy and stuff, and I guess it's like a little 5K through or 2K, whatever the hell it is. And so in various locations around the site, and granted, this used to be an old farm site, so the parking lot area, as you drive out of it, you're going over these ancient grooves, because they haven't grown crops on it, I think, for decades, but still those ancient grooves of, the old, where they would put the seed, and it grows, and it becomes, corn. You feel those. It's like driving over a pair of corduroy pants. Um, what did that do with anything? I don't know why I'm supposed to have the corduroy pants. The farm. All right, whatever. Uh, so they had this mutter, I guess. This is what I heard. And to do the mutter, they had to dig into the ground in a few locations, make these mud pits, fill them full of water and whatever. And then, well, I guess maybe they put hay bales up somewhere else, and who knows what they do with that. But then they had to fill the holes. I guess it was part of the deal. You can dig into the ground here, just fill it back up. They filled it with this stuff, which was uh, I don't. I dared even call it soil. Do you know the consistency of talc or that monkey butt stuff? Which again, Bristol people who gave that to me. Thank you so much. When I got back here to the house, I used it that weekend at Bristol. It worked great. I used it the next weekend at Bristol because I think somebody gave it to me the third weekend I was there. So I used it 3 and 4. It was burning hot sand, says Johnny Forlon. Yeah, it was. It was. It was the consistency of talc or that monkey butt stuff. Really light stuff. I don't know how they got away with putting such light stuff back in rather than a heavier fill dirt. I'm no expert on dirt, you know. The powdered sand, exactly, Jim. That this is the first time that's been there, Jim. That normally it's just the regular, the earth, the kind of grass and what have you. And of course, it's out of the fair's control. They're like, oh, all right. And the person that wasn't a fly on the wall. Again, this is just what I heard, but it does make sense because there'd be no reason to have it there. It does make sense. It does track. It's clearly dirt that was put there to fill in a gap that was made in the ground. And if somebody said, yeah, they had one of those mutters there, or they dig it out and put water in it, well, that would make sense. That would make sense. So it's not the fair's fault, but I don't know what they're going to do about it in the weeks to come. Now, this week coming, I guess the temperatures are going to be less. There's even going to be some rain, I hope, on Wednesday just to moisten that site up. Because it's always important to have your sites moistened. You got to, when you walk right up to them like that, guys, you just got to have it say it. Other than the heat, again, great audiences, great responses. Jim McKenzie was there, for his first time, as was my buddies Ryan and Tom. They were there just for one weekend doing buckle and squash. And I always take, anybody that wants to hear me talk about that fair, I'll always give them the skinny. I'll say, you're going to have, it's smaller stages, smaller audiences that you might have at a larger event, but very nice audiences, very attentive audience, unbelievably attentive. And it throws you off. It throws me off every time I go there. Every time I go to that fair, I forget that for the first 2 shows. And of course, I was getting over a cold, so we'll talk about that in a second. So Saturday, and this wasn't my best weekend of work at that fair ever. I did okay, and amen again. Thank you, Jim. The audiences they're attentive. I walk out, and they're quiet right away. Maybe a little bit of whispering. And then you do your thing, and they laugh when it's funny, they clap when it's entertaining, and they're back to listening, which at a Renaissance fair is almost unheard of. You guys have heard of me talk about this before in these videos, but when I talk about performing, how you get different skill sets as an artist depending on how you start. And I, of course, started as a street performer. So for me, I describe it as like swinging 2 bats before you go to bat in baseball, right? That's why you swing that extra heavy bat to get you ready. And then you go and you perform somewhere where the audience is stone cold silence, have you, and it's like, oh, I'm fine with this. But when you were trained and you were raised and you educated yourself as an artist, as a performing artist, in an environment where you have to demand attention and keep people under control, to stop talking constantly, to go somewhere where that's not a problem. It's really amazing. Now, granted, it doesn't mean it's completely quiet. It's still a Renaissance fair. The people that aren't at your show, and it's a pretty tightly laid out Ren fair, so my back row from where I'm standing is probably not even 40 feet away. Maybe 40 feet away, maybe. I don't know. I'm trying to visualize. Whenever I visualize things like that, I visualize my RV. I have an RV that's 30 feet long, so I'm trying to visualize. And I know how long my house is here. Okay, I'm going to say 40 feet away. So 40 feet away, there's the fair. People walking by. And they're talking and they're doing what they're doing. Now, because there's no trees, there's not a lot of that echoey sound that you'll get at a Bristol, for example. which you don't even know you're getting it until you go somewhere without trees. Which brings me to another point that I think I have there in the liner notes for this post. I forget also when I go there how much a whip does not sound very loud. Bristol, trees, big giant walls around me. I think lower to sea level. That's important too because the fair is, I don't know the elevation of Bonnie Lake. Let's look it up. Let's look at Bonnie Lake, Washington. Bonny. Did I spell it right? I think it's EY, right? Washington. It should be. Oh, I totally spelled it wrong. Okay, it doesn't matter. The elevation of Bonnie Lake, okay, is 574. Okay, so not sea level, 500 feet above sea level. Okay, and that does matter. And the first time I experienced that was the first year I did the show here in California, up in Lake Tahoe. There's a show that's not called Tahoe; it's called the Valhalla Renaissance Fair. I'm not sure if they still produce it. They stopped, just before COVID. I don't know why. For some reason, I don't know why they stopped. I only worked there like 3 years, way back in the day. Anyway, it's a good event. Go check it out. It's beautiful. Oh my God, Lake Tahoe, beautiful trees. Oh, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? I get to perform at some beautiful places, and Lake Tahoe, it's unbelievable. Adam Crack show from the Adam Crack show, the best whip artist in the world, can be heard everywhere because Bristol Renaissance Fair. Well, let's find out. Let's find out how the elevation of. Okay, so Bonnie Lake is at 574. Let's say Kenosha. Well, no, Kenosha is right on the lakefront. There is a town called Bristol, Wisconsin, which is around the corner from there. So we'll go Bristol, or is it Bristol, Illinois? It's Bristol, Wisconsin. Oh, shut up. No way. Elevation 778? How's that even possible? That can't be right. Let me click on this. That can't be right. Let me see where they're saying this town is. Okay, Bristol, there it is. Okay, let's see. Bristol Diner. Oh, I'm finding something out really weird here about the elevations. They're just opposite of what I thought they were, guys. Wow. Well, I don't know. It's saying elevation of Bristol, Wisconsin is higher than Bonnie Lake. They're saying Bristol is 778 feet above sea level, and Bonnie Lake is 574 above sea level, which I have a very hard time believing because Bonnie Lake is in a much more mountainous part of the world in general, and you go up a giant hill before you get there. When you're going there from Tacoma, you go up a big-ass hill, and I can't imagine that you can get from Lake Michigan. Is Lake Michigan at sea level? Oh, that could be it, right? Wait, people are giving me the answer here. Yeah, that's what it is, right, guys? It's in the middle of the country, longer slope to the sea. Well, oh, I see what you're saying. So, okay, you're right. I'm confusing the lakes with the ocean. You guys are right. Okay. For whatever reason, maybe it's the extreme rather than the gradual slope. Is that it? I don't know. Air is thin. No trees to ricochet the sound of a whip off. So I crack a whip at the Washington Fair, and I think I put that in the little liner notes. That's why a whip goes cruk. I'm trying to think of the best sound effect for it. A whip at the Bristol Renaissance Fair goes crack. A whip at the Washington Renaissance Fair goes cruk. It cracks, and you can feel it. And every now and then when I do one of those weird, every now and then you'll see me in my show, and I'll go, uh-oh. I'm being a little lazy with my whipping, and I make it so the crack happens a little closer to my ear than I want it to. And that's why I'm mostly deaf. And then, of course, at the Tahoe show. Okay, so years ago at the Tahoe show, I'm walking out there. I'm doing my little, I don't really do a warm-up, but I always crack a whip a little just to kind of get the arm loosened up. And nothing. I swear to God. Oh, just get loosened up here. Get the old whip out. Yeah. Did you hear that? Here, I'll do it again. That's what it sounded like. I swear I went, I did it again. And I learned that I had to really focus. I had to have perfect technique to get a nice sharp one. Because if your technique's sloppy, you'll get a lazy crack. If you've been watching me at the Bristol Fair at the Castle Keep stage, which is just wall, 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 it's loud. I barely have to work at all, and it's loud. I mean, I would imagine my whip is cracking in some ways louder than Adam's is, just because he's in a little bit of an open space, and I'm in this perfect little sound thing. Of course, I don't crack it as often as him, so it's not as noticeable. But as a patron who was at Bristol, a patron, will be Miss Summers. I will give a confirmation on the whip sound. Okay, that is your mission, Lena. Sometimes quality is just as good as quantity. I'm not sure what you're talking about there. Middle of the country. Okay. Bristol is dense. Lots of things. Yeah, sound to bounce off of. Yeah. So maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it isn't about the elevation. I think you're probably right. Good morning, Mark. That probably could be it. But whenever I hear that little, because when I did that show in Tahoe, I was around trees. There's all kinds of stuff to bounce stuff off of. But it was the elevation. And also because you're up there, you don't feel the heat on your skin. And it would be like 80 degrees at this event because it was in June. But it's in June and it's up in the Sierras, which means it'll be 80 degrees during the fair. But when you're trying to drive back to Los Angeles on Monday, the pass going over just the crest of the mountain back down toward Sacramento can be closed because of a blizzard. It reminds you about the crazy weather of mountains, which I know a few of you know about that are mountain climbers. I was always able to make it out. One time, though, it was snowing going down the mountain leaving, and I was a little nervous. I didn't have this. I have a four-wheel truck now, but I didn't have a four-wheel truck then, so I had to suffer through that. Anyway, back to a whip doesn't sound anywhere near as loud in the Washington Fair as it does at Bristol. But here's the other thing about the air. Okay, let me go back a bit because I think air does have something to do with it, and I'll give you one more reason. Torches don't stay lit as long, and I think that's the dry factor. The humid air out there at Bristol, a layer of moisture surrounding that torch is I think limiting the evaporation. The fuel that of course you use when you fire eat is the white gas, the camping gas. It evaporates pretty quick. It's famous. It ignites quick and it evaporates quick. So any fire performer knows, depending on what fire trick you're doing, you mix your little cocktail of fuel up to satisfy your needs. Fire eaters need stuff that ignites instantaneously so they can do transfers and things. If you're just juggling, you can use charcoal starter or even lamp oil, which is the slowest igniting fuel, but the much long lasting. So I might fetch some lamp oil or charcoal starter for this weekend coming, because here's what I've noticed. The torches, by the time I get to them, especially the juggling torches, if you saw my show this weekend, if you're up there, you may have noticed I had to redouse my torches on half the shows, and I tweaked my script just a little bit to try to hurry that part up. Whereas Bristol, I can just stand there and yammer on with a torch in my hand, and it won't go completely out. Also, I just need to put new wicks on the torches. Okay, there's that too. Okay, all right. When I'm off here today, I'm gonna go on the Brian Dubé site, order 3 new wicks. I may order 3 new torches because I thought it'd be cool to have 3 torches that matched the 3 that I already have. That way, when I juggle with somebody like Mooney and we juggle torches, all 6 torches are the same kind of torch. All you juggling nerds out there have noticed that Mooney and I have not had matching torches for years now. We used to. The 3 that I have were 3 of the 6 that we ordered back when we wanted all of our gear to match. And then I don't know what happened. I don't know why. I think I gave them to him. I don't know why. There's only 3 of them left. I have no idea. Crazy talk. I know. Right. Matching gear. Can you believe it's insane. Jim, you can relate. I'm using 3 Europeans, of course. He's using 3 classics. And if you've ever passed torches with somebody who's using classics, jam this finger. Okay, we're going off on a little prop thing. A classic torch in the Brian Dubé catalog. Brian Dubé, probably the most popular, and Jim can amen this or not, juggling prop company in America, at least. Most famous, for sure. Not everybody uses their gear. I only have 3 props in my repertoire that need to be official juggling props, and they are the torches, and they are Dubé torches. A classic torch is a dowel that's been spun on a lathe. You get a little knob down here, then a nice little tapered thing, and then it goes in like that, and then they put a metal sleeve over it. Yeah, International Torch. That's right. A metal sleeve goes over that, and then a wick gets on the end. Okay, go watch Mooney. Okay, Mooney, the torches he's using, those are what's called classics. what's using is called Amen Old School. Everyone starts with classics, right, Jim? Because they're cheaper. You go to the Magic store before the internet, then you hope that they have them in stock. Otherwise, you got to get on a phone. What? In his Panda case, maybe. Um, those are classics, and I had them too, Jim. But then you switch to Europeans if you're, I shouldn't say if you're smart, because Europeans are also a dowel, but then they have this mylar stuff put over them that has this customy thing that Brian Dubé was very proud of inventing. Whereas there's the mylar, which is thick stuff. It's not thin mylar; it's the thick rubbery stuff. And there's a little gap between the mylar and the dowel that's right down the center of it. Tiny enough of a gap that it has a bit of a give to it, a millimeter at the most, not a lot. And then it's tapered, and then it also tapers and it has that same little metal sleeve over the top and the same. Boy, without the sound on this video, boy, thank God. Hope, don't mute me right now. And that's what I use. And we had 6 of those, Mooney and I, for years that matched. They were the red and silver ones. Now they're mostly silver because the color wears off. Here's what I might do to totally nerd out about this. I used to, when I was not regularly part of a 2-person juggling act, although I did use these with Mooney back in the day, I doubled my wicks because I heard other jugglers were doing it, and I saw a couple of people doing it. I thought, oh, that's kind of cool. So instead of the torch just having one wick, a wick's about as wide as a belt. It's wrapped around. It makes the top of the torch about this big around in diameter, right? So there's a wick, right? And I had a lot of people would add a second one right next to it, just as big or maybe it's not quite as big, so it kind of tapers a bit. Twice the amount of fire, just really noticeable. And if you look at if you find some old shots of me from way in the early 90s, go look at some old shots of me. First of all, don't I look good? Oh, I look so good. Somebody showed a picture of me the other day. I went through a period where I did not think I was. All right, well, I'm sorry. We're going on. That's a rabbit hole for another day. I have therapy today, so maybe I'll talk about that today. And I did that for the longest time. In fact, back when I was doing shows with Mooney, when I first started doing that, I was doing that then. So we would juggle torches together. And I guess he was using, I don't know I think he was still using classics. My torches weighed twice as much as his, and they were top heavy. Remember, we talk about that a lot for Does It Juggle. Depends on how things are balanced for how, if they're easy to juggle. You add that second torch, the second wick rather, it's not just the weight of that fabric, it's also the weight of the fluid going into the fabric, and that's what really gives it the weight. But I got used to it. You just get used to it. So it was no problem for my solo show. I may do that again. Yeah, maybe I'll do that. What I'll do is I'll order another set of torches, and then I'll order extra wicks, and I'll put the double wicks on these old ones just to see if I like it. That way, if I'm like, oh, that's right, I really don't like this. All right, well, good. I didn't ruin the new ones. I'll just use the new ones. It's expensive. Each juggling, what is okay? We're doing this a lot lately. We're looking stuff up. What does a classic torch cost? Brian, D-U-B-E, with a little thing. Still in New York City. I don't know how the hell he stays in business. Being based in New York City. Okay, here we go. Juggling torches. Yep, he only offers the 2. Classics and classics with a K. Yep. And there's the customs. They call them customs, but oh my God. I haven't ordered them in so long. They're $45 each now. Holy crap. When you see somebody juggling 3 custom juggling torches, that person spent $150 on those props. That's ridiculous. They were like 27 when I first started. What do classics cost? Let's find out. Classics. Where are they? Oh, there we go. White, 35. Natural, also 35. Then why put down? I guess you have to choose. $35. $10 cheaper. All right. There you go. Boy, we're learning a lot. We're learning that Bristol, Wisconsin is 778 feet above sea level. Bonnie Lake is only 574. Excuse me, slippers. Weather in Bonnie Lake, average 63 degrees. Now, that makes sense, right? Humidity, 91. I didn't feel any. Hotels, 3-star average hotels, $206. Mayor, Michael McCullough. Local time. It's Tuesday, 9:55. What are they saying? Oh, I see. What time is it there right now? I'm getting it. And I guess I haven't recycled this page because technically it should be 10:10. 9:55. My God, they're back in time. No, they're not. You just didn't recycle the page. Anyway, a lot of heat, man. A lot of heat. Survived it. Did the shorter sets again. The stage I'm on, in years past, had just 2 acts on it. The past few years, they've been cramming a 3rd act on it. I'm all right with it. Papa Brian might next year say a little, I'm minuta, bitte. Because it used to be I'd have like an hour slot, and I wouldn't use the whole hour, and the other act would be scheduled for a half hour. But essentially what that meant was each act had 45 minutes. But by doing the hour half, the fair gets to have a nice, clean-looking grid. But the Washington Fair doesn't do the grid. Yeah, another thing that's different about them. You know, Bristol guys, you guys go and you get that weird grid. Washington just does the stage list. You know, and no paper maps. That's right. A couple fairs are doing that. I don't know if REP, Bristol people in Bristol are going to do that eventually. It's probably the way to go. It's the future. Too much trash, too much expense. Better for the environment. Let's just not print these sheets of paper. Everybody's got a smartphone right in their hand. You put the QR code around, bleep, map. And you're just bringing up the page from the website. So it's not like you're doing something that the audience couldn't have done anyway. I like them having a map. Barcode maps, yeah. Johnny Forlorn. Are you sad, Johnny Forlorn? You get that a lot. I'm sorry, Johnny. Am I saying it right? You're forlorn. Yeah, the barcode map. It's okay, you know, as long as the audience knows about it. I've done events where they didn't bother printing programs and they didn't think to do the QR code. And you think that's not a big deal. Who cares? It matters. It's a stage name. All right, cool. Is your show really sad? I got to check you out, Johnny. I'll check you out. But I want to be happy. I can't go see Johnny Forlorn. You're going to the comedy club. Who are you going to see? Johnny Forlorn. I'd rather go see, I can't think of a word similar to forlorn that means happy, but other than happy, you know, Jimmy Happy. Goth musician. Oh, goth musician. Cool. Then it's perfect, Johnny. That's awesome. Oh, man. That's perfect. Well named. Like Jim McKenzie, comedian with mad skills. That's his stage name. This is much longer to say. You have to introduce him. Johnny Forlorn. This is Jim McKenzie, comedian with mad skills. Jim McKenzie, comedian with mad skills. This is Johnny Forlorn. Jim's, yours is longer. And in the Ren Fair world, I'm just Brune. Dank. Oh, Danke. He's also German. Okay, anyway. And I apologize if you're a professional musician, Johnny, about my guitar being probably out of tune. Okay, so we're talking about the heat up in Washington. We were talking about the great audiences. They're willing to listen and stuff, and that's no slight against you folks at Bristol. You guys are lovely, of course. But you folks at Bristol also know that you'll be sitting at a show of mine, or a Mooney and Brune show, or any performer's show, and there's always the chatter and the in the audience. And for years, and I think I talked to you guys about this last year, right around now, because I want to crack this nut, and I think I have. I guess that's me, the visual of cracking a nut. My theory is, and this is just a theory, is because the audiences are so intimate at Washington. The Castle Keep stage, the furthest audience member from me is 50, 60 feet away. The Washington, you know, I said, what did I say, 40 feet away earlier? Now I'm thinking about my math, and I'm going, that can't be right. I think they're closer than that even. Man, the whole audience might be within 20 feet of me. No, not that close. Really? I really am thinking this out right in front of you. I guess maybe, okay, 25 feet, whereas the furthest audience member at Bristol is 50 feet. Okay, so twice as far. And all the audience seating areas at the Washington show have bleachers at the back, which kind of act like little visual barriers in a way. Put it simply, when you come to sit at a stage at the Washington Midsummer Renaissance Fair, you're making that commitment to come to that show. It's obvious you are. You're not just finding a place to sit and eat. You are coming very close to a stage. You cannot sit in the audience at that event of any stage there and not feel like you're very I don't know if vulnerable is the right word, but certainly you've entered that space. Whereas I've done enough outdoor events and seen enough good and bad staging to know that it's very possible a lot of places just to, oh, there's a bench, let's go sit over there, and have the show be over there, and go, oh, I don't care what that is, just whatever. Anyway, so anyway, so what do you want to do when we leave this place? Have we seen the joust yet? Let's go see the joust. Whatever. Just blah blah blah. You see that a lot at the Southern California Ren Fair. Northern, not so much because their audience seatings are little, or slightly smaller. Um, and various good and bad staging, of which I could go on. As you guys know, I try not to become too much of a bitch sesh when we do these videos. But I certainly would love to be consulted on how to lay out an audience at some point before I die. I keep giving advice to who will ever listen, and it's taken exactly 5% of the time. Okay, so I don't know. It can't just be that the people in Washington are more attentive. It can't be that, and the people in Wisconsin and Illinois maybe aren't. That's not it. It's how an audience is treated, how an audience is, more importantly, how a performance is presented. There we go. How a performance is presented. If you present me on a stage that has a big bunch of seats, which is great, nothing wrong with that. But if the back row is so far away that it's very easy for the audience not to associate this bench with that performer, they're going to respect that performer the way they've been asked to. Hilarious song he wrote about audience members not paying attention. Yeah. Yep, that's a great song. You can't have those. Good point, Sarah Polish name. Arnie wrote a great song about it because even though Arnie performs in this really intimate place at Bristol called the Fountainside Stage, which I can't believe that he has a hard time with that. It's still a great song, but I'll bet you his issue with that isn't as bad as my issue there, because I got people far enough away where they can totally not be with me at all. Of course, now I have a pirate ship filled with screaming children. So, at the end of the day, do I think that people in Washington are just more attentive? No, I think that they're responding to their environment. If I came into a performance space and I knew that even if I tried to sit in the back row, because I was like a little shy or something, but even by sitting in the back row, I realized I'm pretty close to this artist. I'm in his zone. I'm in his world. So I think that's why shows at the Washington Renaissance Fair tend to go smoother. Another thing that I missed, or not missed, forgot about until I got there again this year. I just came from Bristol, where I got to spend a certain amount of performer quan and energy and personality and giving of myself just to get the audience in the right frame of mind. And we've, of course, talked about that a lot in these videos. So a lot of you know about the various techniques that I use to manipulate that audience, to put them into my hand. You got to be in my hand, or it's not going to work. Washington, that part of the show, and this is another chance if Jim's still here to amen this if he agrees, or maybe Johnny Forlorn can amen this although he's a musician, so I imagine he can just rock out and just get into his zone. Slippers, a little different for comedy, I think. You don't have to do that as much at Washington. I go out there the first day, the first show, and I start doing my usual, along with various techniques, yes, doing my usual thing, realizing that, oh, that's right, I don't need to do that much here. And the reason why is the staging has already done it for me. Loved when Elmo came out. Thank you, Johnny. That is a fun joke. And that's the joke that's getting longer and longer as I'm not doing the card trick as much these days. So that's the moment of the show which I'm allowing to go off on little things. Audiences were awesome at Washington. Yeah, Jim's being very complimentary and politically nice. But I think, as I was saying, Jim, it's not that the people are different. It's not that people in Bristol fans and audiences are inattentive or anything. It's just that they're in an environment that is loud. It's cacophony constantly. Everything echoes off all the buildings and structures. They can sit 50 feet from an artist and just eat their turkey leg and drink their mead and not have to be bothered by the artist. Washington, and I don't know if this was, and I don't believe it was their intention. I love the people that produced the event. They're very nice folks, but I doubt they really got into the weeds like this and examined it. I'm doing that because that's the way my brain works. I think it was just one of those lucky situations. They made these nice, really nice little backdrops, really pretty stages, for a temporary fair. They built some really nice little stages. Just the right amount of seating. Maybe I could use a few more benches. Hint, hint. Over at the thing. I always adjust benches yeah. It's often as it is, Jim. I made a bench adjustment at Bristol actually for the second week. I was talking to Tara, the performer sharing stage with me, Supernova, and I noticed that the aisle in front of me was really wide. It accommodated that ramp that all the stages at Bristol have. Not all of them, but the three, that one and two of the other ones I know. Three, because I think the Kraken also has one. Very common thing at Bristol to have these ramps, and you'll take your coffee black. I'll work on that, Lewis. If I had a way technologically to send you a coffee through this video, Lewis, it'd be on its way. And I realized that's too wide. It was so wide that first weekend, Tara and I are performing over here and then over here, a little gap in the middle every time, 12. It's like it was 10, 12 feet. And we brought it way in. I brought it way. I just took all the outside benches, or I took the back row and just created another whole column of benches. I assume it's still like that. If you guys went to the Castle stage this weekend and saw Supernova, I'm not sure who was on that stage this week, but I guess I'll be back in 3 weeks. So I think the Washington audiences are subliminally, or that's not the right word, subconsciously responding to being brought into an intimate environment, and once in that intimate environment, behaving the way one does. A good theory on this, and one that I really appreciate, was, as you know, I'm a big fan of Disney, and I like amusement parks anyway, not just Disney. I like Busch Gardens and King's Dominion, and I was raised going to carnivals and going to Ocean City, Maryland, and riding the Ferris wheel and the roller coaster. I like rides and stuff, and I like that in a carny environment. I like it. And I was reading an article in a paper that was it was in some magazine about, I can't remember. It was an article in a magazine. And it was what it did, it was doing a hard drill down on Disney's design. So it was some article in some magazine all about science, I think popular science. And this was all about the science of design or something. It was written by an architect. And the guy made a point which stuck to me to this day, and I think of it whenever I'm at a Renaissance fair that has an issue, where the staging isn't great, where the performances don't seem great. This is her. Oh yeah. Oh, everybody go check out Supernova at the Castle Keep stage at the Bristol Renaissance Fair. You'll notice the Castle Keep stage has its benches perfected to the best they could possibly be for that environment. Okay. Have you been permanent fairs, pop-ups, and running a fair from the West Oklahoma? Each has its own style. Yeah. When I want to make the ultimate fair, well, that'd be great. Get a lot of money though. Get some investors. I can't afford to. I'll invest $1,000. That's it. I'll be your smallest investor. You're gonna need $1 million. Okay. Anyway, I gotta stop looking at the chat. You guys are very cool and you're giving all kinds of great opinions here. But what we're talking about? Oh, the article I read about architecture and design and how it affects an audience. And I think of that whenever I talk like this. And if I ever was asked my honest opinion by the management of any fair I work at, hint, hint, my opinion is not just coming out of my ass. It's coming out of 30 years of experience, of being interested in this kind of stuff, fascinated by it, studying it, of doing some consulting at Walt Disney Imagineering. You guys know I did a bunch of years back, briefly. They don't bring just anybody in there, so there you go. There's a company that respected my opinion, and you've all heard of them. Um, this guy made the point that an audience will respond to how its environment, and he kind of alluded to mob mentality. Unfortunately, he didn't say that there's never going to be a mob scene at a Disney park, but what he meant by that was what you didn't see at a Disney park, for example, was graffiti for two reasons. One, they have a crack cleanup paint staff. As you guys know, maybe you don't know, all the Disney parks you've ever been to in your life, they're in a constant state of being painted. It's impossible to go to a Disney theme park and not see fresh paint. It's always happening. As soon as they close that place at night, it gets scrubbed down. They go around, they find anybody that may have done something nefarious on a thing. It gets covered up instantaneously. That's a good thing for city planning too, by the way. And he alluded to that in the article, this dude. Because he talked about, I guess, some mayor in some big city was trying to fight graffiti, and so what he did is they spent money on the tax dollar money. There was a crew that went around and erased it right away, like within hours. And I'm happy to say there's this place down the street from where I live. I live in a decent neighborhood, but down the street, it's kind of like, it's still a decent neighborhood. It's very, very nice, but it's a neighborhood that kind of two gangs, or we don't live in a gang neighborhood at all, but they fight over, this is our turf, this is our turf. I don't know what goes on down there. And there's this one wall that gets tagged all the time. The owners of the place paint over it within an hour usually. I'll go down the hill, like dropping the kid off for school in the morning. There'll be a tag. Coming back up the hill, within 20 minutes later, painted over. This store is doing the right thing. They're going to hell with it. We're going to cover this up all the time. And that's what this city did. And they discovered their tagging started to go down eventually because, and I'm not talking about murals and really cool, because I like urban art. I like that. And I live in a city in LA, and in case you don't know, it has a lot of murals. We have a lot of murals here. People don't know that, but we do. We have a lot of murals, and they're cool, and I like them. And we have a lot of official murals where the people that own the wall paid for it. And we have some unofficial murals, but are still good. And the people that own the wall are probably like, oh, that's cool, leave that up. And then some idiot will tag that with a stupid gang mark, which we don't like the gang marks, of course. So this city would just cover the graffiti up as quick as possible. And buildings that did it themselves got like a little tax break if they were really quick to do it and took photographs or whatever. They did something, and tagging went down. Okay. Back to Disney. Same with them. They see a mark, they do anything, cover that right up that night. Open the next day at 9 a.m., no marks. Perfectly clean, as you know. They're famous for being unbelievably clean amusement parks. So that's thing number one. As a management of an event like that, or a theme park, due diligence. Clean your shit up. It should look nice. I try to make sure our stage looks nice when I perform on a stage. I try to make sure the booths that I own at the Southern California Renaissance Fair look very good every morning we open up. Make sure I look good. Two, second effect of that whole audience being influenced by its surrounding. And that's, if you came in late, that's what we're talking about. We're talking about how audiences respond differently to shows depending on the fair. And I'm theorizing that it's all about how the show is presented. Mostly on the fact that the shows at the Washington Renaissance Fair are presented very intimately. Okay, so back to things, to how a show should be presented. Okay, and how it relates to this whole article about Disney doing it right. One, clean up your place. We did that already. Two, if you present an audience with an immaculate thing, mentally, they're going to want to keep it immaculate, okay? A bunch of knuckleheaded teenagers going to Six Flags, and I can talk about this because I live in Southern California. We have several theme parks, and we have a Disney park, as you guys know. Six Flags can be messy. I have friends that work there. Nothing wrong with it. I want to insult my buddies that work there. Great, but it's not immaculate. as you're waiting in lines, there are scratches and tags and things and pen marks. I used to go to King's Dominion in Virginia, and you'd be waiting in line for 30 minutes for a roller coaster, and there's gum everywhere. Gum. Joni loves Chachi. All kinds of marks, and they would just leave it there and encouraged more of that kind of crap. Disney says, no, we're going to clean this up so much that you're not going to want to mess with that. Why would you? It's too beautiful. That's the audience being affected. And it's important. It's important. And I think most Renaissance Fair owners and managers understand that how you present something is hugely influential as to how an audience perceives it. If you put, and I'm a broken record here, because I say this like at least 3 times a year on these videos. You put a mediocre act and you present them beautifully, the audience is going to think they're a great act. You put a good act, present it beautifully, the audience is going to think it's a phenomenal act. You put a good act, present it poorly, the audience is going to see it as a good to fair act. Okay? Producers of these events have a responsibility. You hire somebody like me or Jim, and you want to get your money's worth. You got to present us looking top notch, just beautiful stage, good banners for things, good shade, good comfort for the audience, and the audience will perceive that art as better than maybe it is. And that's going to be a mutually supporting experience. The exchange of energy is going to be unbelievably positive. And that's why, we've talked about this, how there was some issues with some of my staging very recently, as you know, and how I may not be perceived as being as good as I like to think that I am. But by the regular Gen Pop. I know folks here are like, oh, Brian, we love you, you're great. Fine, this is not me fishing for compliments. It's not. But the average person that comes into an event has never seen me before, and they see me in an event where the staging has just got an issue, whether it's a huge distraction over here, whether it's a weather issue, whether it's just a backdrop, which is just poorly executed. It's going to affect the audience. And it's an extra thing that I, as a performer, and Jim and all the other artists out there that I know that perform for a living, we have to work through. We have to spend extra energy tearing that aside. And we do it with jokes, and we do it with little witticisms and try to compartmentalize it, say, here's this thing, ha-ha, fold it up, put it away. And I think that's a big thing about the Washington Renaissance Fair, is the stages are nice. They're beautiful at Bristol. Don't get me wrong, they're beautiful at Bristol. But because they're very intimate, that the audiences are silent, and they feel like they're part of the show, and they're into the show right away. Whereas when I go, later on this year, I'll go to the Northern California Renaissance Fair, where I'm very popular there, and the stage there is beautiful, by the way. A gorgeous stage that performing there. It's phenomenal. Nothing wrong with it, but the seating is quite a bit larger. So the back 3 or 4 rows, and there's a bit of a separation between me and them. There's like, okay, we can be in here. He's doing that. All right, but let's. And what did you get? Jimmy, did you get the beer? Oh, we got the beer. Okay. Meanwhile, I'm up there and I'm doing my little conversation with the kid about what makes a whipped crack, and they're like, but that never happens at Washington. Not never. I had one issue this week, and I took care of it. I felt bad. I didn't feel bad, but I became dad performer guy, which I've talked to you guys, where I have to kind of kill the comedy and get a little serious, because this lady is doing that thing where, as I was talking to her, because she kept responding too much, and she didn't mean any harm. I had to be very careful, because you could tell she was a little drunk, but she wasn't "you suck." She was supportive. Woo, yeah, Brune, yeah, one of those things. And I kept and there'd be because my show, by design, has quiet moments that need to stay quiet to make a joke work. And if I do a setup, and then here comes the quiet moment, and then you all hear, yeah, Brune, no, you just ruined it. And I kind of said that. I said, darling, I'm sorry, my show is designed, kind of what I just said, but much shorter. Okay, Brune, yes, but she kept going, and I wanted her to understand that she wasn't giving up that control that a drunk person kind of feels like they need to do, or an insecure person, whatever it is. Some people are like, oh, I'm sorry, do your thing, okay, and you're like, great, thank you so much, and you go back to your show. But there's another person that doesn't like being told what to do, and they take it as a challenge, especially these days. There's a lot of that kind of crap in our culture, so no one can be told what to do, even if what you're being told what to do is the right thing. People will still need to add this little button on, and it happens all the time. You'll be trying to shut somebody up in a fun, nice way. I say shut up, but I mean it in a nice, fun, lighthearted way. And okay, all right, fine, yeah, do your show. It's okay. They do that. They have to vocalize. They have to. I guess I'm getting into a whole thing here. I was going to wrap the show up, but I guess we're going to go for another 10 minutes here because this is kind of important. There's a kind of person that feels like when you tell them to shush, please, for the show, I want them to go, I'm sorry. That's it. I don't want them to go, okay, don't worry, Brune. You're the man. Yeah. No, because that's them not getting the message. They still think they get to get the last word. And what I have to let that person know, especially in an intimate audience like Washington, it might not be as big a problem at Bristol. And there you go. And there's a good contrast again where maybe that kind of thing is not as much of a problem at a big fair like Bristol, because that person is diluted by several hundred other people. Whereas at Washington, they're only diluted by, if it's a small audience late in the day, which this was, and I had a very small, I barely had 100 people, I think. They're going to stick out. They're 1/100th of the audience. And I eventually got her to shush, and her friends were shushing her up, and she apologized. I'm sorry. It's like, it's okay. Gave her a little fist bump. Okay, I'm sorry. You're so good. She walked away. She was fine. So hopefully she didn't drive home. But that's a tricky thing as an artist, because as comedy guy, you do your little jokey joke, and the people that love you, who are maybe drunk a little too much, they're not trying to be negative. They think they're helping. And you say, shush, you're not. And they have a hard time with, I'm not helping. How am I not helping? I like this guy. I'm helping him. Aren't I helping him? And I'm getting a laugh over what I'm saying. I'll do a little, heckler stopper. Hey, lady, knock the blah, 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 jokey joke. Gets a giggle. They think, oh, I'm part of the show. I got a little laugh. You drown them out. There you go. Hopefully. Excuse me, slippers. So, I had that happen, but that was the only negative blot on all 8 shows I did this weekend. Other than that, lovely time. Lost a lot of water, very hot, fell asleep backstage. I have a long, curious gap in my day. I don't know why. I do a show, I'm the third on stage, 2 acts before me, then me, and then the other 2 acts go Act A, Act B, Act A. Well, it was Robin and Marion, and it was the Buckle and Swash, but it's going to be Serena this week. So that's an hour and, hang on, do the math here. Hour and a half. That's 2 hours and 15 minutes between the end of my set and before I go on again. Big gap. I'll have to see. I'm not sure if they can change it. I don't think they can. They might be able to change it because they're not giving out printed programs anymore. This fair used to. Now they don't. It's just a matter of going on the website. Typey, typey, typey. Anyway, so if you're ever at a show and you see me kind of get a little serious with somebody, that's what I'm trying to do. Also, I'm having a hard time at Washington with the people applauding when they're not supposed to. I'm doing my little thing like I do at Bristol, and you guys, it took you a while, but some of you still don't do it. Somebody just say this right now. If you're a fan of mine, you become a recent patron of mine, welcome. Hope you have a lot of fun over here on Patreon with me. When I allude to please don't ruin jokes, it means don't clap the first time I hit the pretzel with a whip, and don't clap the first time I eat fire. Back in the day, I was able to manipulate the audience and make it so they didn't clap, but for something happened, I got more popular. I don't know. It's now harder to make that work, but there's a great joke coming if you just be a little patient. And the people that are doing it, I know they're fans. I know people that still go, woo! And I hate as you guys know, I hate woo. Oh, God, I hate woo. I hate woo. Some acts love getting woo. I hate getting woo. Don't like woo. I like laughter. I like clapping. I hate woo. Woo! Hate it. I don't. Just don't like it. I don't even know when I started hating woo. Anyway, yeah, Jim hates the woo. Yeah. The woo is like a lazy kind of hate woo. Got it. Melina's making notes. How to go watch Brian and Jim's show. You are definitely my loud twin. Okay. I don't mind wooing when the whole crowd starts to cheer. Sarah, Polish name, screaming her tits off at the beginning of the fair has become part of the fun. Hope she's not offended by that phrase. I said it. I purposely said a salty phrase just then because I think that she will enjoy it. Don't be offended, uptight people. That's okay. It's the woo after like a joke. It's like either laughter or nothing. I don't know. There's a pretty good joke that you just heard. It was pretty well executed. And maybe you've heard it 100 times before, but damn it, it's still well delivered. How about a little laughter? So tell your friends, no, not knock the wooing off. Not during the show. If you're at my show and somebody's wooing, don't give them dirty looks. He doesn't like that. Don't. That's when you're at the show, just be an audience member. You just do you, boo. Boo. You can woo if everybody else is cheering. Barney. Facts, says Sarah. All right, good. I feel like I need to keep going now to explain this to you guys a little more. What I mean is, wooing in the place of laughter. There you go. Or wooing in the place of clapping. I'd rather have clapping. There you go. That's all. Because wooing kind of started at Ren fairs because people would have you go, everybody go, yay, everybody go, ooh, everybody go, ah. A lot of performers used to do that. I had a routine way back in the day, 30 years ago, that was the crux of it to some degree. Oohs and ahs, and I had jokes. I can't even remember the routine anymore, but I know I did that, so I'm partially to blame. It's become so prevalent in the Ren fair industry that if you go to most acts, they do that. And I don't know why. I don't know why other acts haven't gone, why are we doing this? Stop it. You'll get more clapping and laughter if you don't train them, your audience, to respond with just a simple, ooh, ah. Because then you know what you're going to get for the next 20 minutes? Ooh, ah. And nobody really means that when they say that. They're doing that as a joke. They're doing that sarcastically. That's the best you're going to get. What you want is genuine, heartfelt gut laughter, which is what I'm happy to say that the director of an event that I still perform, the Bristol event, said back when she saw me years ago. Says, boy, your show was great. There was a real honest gut laughter there. Yeah, the drunk 20-something woo girls, as I call them. You can woo. All right, I'll let you guys debate the woo after I get off, because I got to get off because I do have therapy soon. Okay, so have a wonderful rest of your day, guys. Thanks for hanging out with me. Welcome to our new patrons. All kinds of extra content, extra inside baseball stuff, and all kinds of extra stuff exclusively for you, including song request line, which will come up later today, stupid knowledge, and we're going to try to, we can't do, well, we'll talk about it maybe tomorrow night at Beer and Songs. I'm not sure if we can do juggling again this week because I do have a personal commitment I have to do. Okay, but we'll see. We'll see. And we'll see about that. I'm not sure. We'll see about that. Have a wonderful rest of your Tuesday. It is Therapy Tuesday, guys. Take care of yourself. Take care of your brain. Take care of your emotions. Love yourself as much as you want other people to love you. Ooh, was that deep? Am I all Jeff Goldblum suddenly? I see. So have a wonderful rest of your Tuesday, guys. I will see you tomorrow night at Beer and Songs with Brian. Here comes the giant thumb hitting the X on the screen that makes me say goodbye and makes me go away. Bye, everybody.